Number 1, chicken, broccoli, and rice. Never really utilized this diet. In my earlier years, I did believe in the chicken and rice thing, never really liked broccoli, but I didn't see how this was the trifecta 3 things that just make your bodybuilding success even better. I don't know why it's the go-to meal, never understood that, and I don't like that beef in my day was demonized. Not drinking milk was, prominent. I just don't believe all that. You can get ripped, big, strong, whatever diet you want to. It's all about what goes in and what goes out and the quality of the food. That's really all there is to saying that. That's it. Number 2, range of motion. This is a norm that I changed my opinion on. I don't think the most range of motion is always better. I don't think the least, just doing pump work is always the better either. I think there's best for particular movements. I think there's best for your actual build. And I don't think range of motion is always important no matter what. I've seen guys get big and strong off little pump reps, and I've seen guys get big and strong on full range of motion, normal reps. Seen it both ways. Number 3 is bro splits. What do I mean by bro split? A bro split would be, for example, Monday, chest. Tuesday, back. Wednesday, legs. Thursday, shoulders. Friday, arms. Take the weekend off. The reason I know that off the top of my head is because I have ran that multiple times. It does necessarily work, but I wish in my younger years I did more of a full body or an upper lower, or just hitting more. I guess utilizing my body as one unit versus splitting up the body parts. I wish I would have done that more. Because you demolish one body part one time a week, let it recoup, next 7 days hit it again. Yeah, I like that, but I wish I would have done more frequency in hitting my body parts more than once a week. I'm not going to be dogmatic and say a certain split will always work for everybody, because it's not that simple. But the bro split just I would never do it again. That's where I'm going with this. It's a norm that I would never make normal in my life ever again. Number 4, mobility work. I got sucked into the Kelly Starrett stuff way back when he wrote Becoming a Supple Leopard. I read that. It was my Bible. I use it all the time. I used it on clients. And I tell you what, about 80% of it did work. It did work. However, I kind of made it my life. I kind of made improving in mobility more important than progressively overloading. Because I would see every lift as a problem. I'd have to find a solution to, some knee pain. I would have to find a solution to, my shoulder is not externally rotating properly on a bench, versus just getting my dang bench up or improving my squat form. The mobility became the project, and then everything else kind of went to the wayside. So mobility for me, it's not normal for me anymore. I do like stretching. If a muscle is sore, I do like using a Theragun or massager on it, but it's not what I think of all the time now when it comes to training. This is not to say that if you need mobility work, to avoid it, but I'm not putting emphasis on that work any longer. I'm starting to realize how someone's built is how they are built. Sometimes some people can get better into positions than others. That doesn't mean they're automatically better and can teach you how to get yourself into that position. It just doesn't work that way. Number 5, the training/nutrition ratio. So, what do I mean by that? You've always heard it, that nutrition is like 90% of bodybuilding. The other 10% is training. That is a crock of big old baloney. Because what do you have to do to achieve the body you want to achieve? It's not just eating right, because anyone can just eat right, but their body's not going to look how they want it to look. Yes, they may lose some unwanted body fat if they had some to lose. They might build some muscle on a better diet, but the trigger and the stimulus is the training. So it's harder to say nutrition is more of it than training is, because the training is what is the stimulus for the adaptation of a bigger muscle group wherever you have trained it. Does proper nutrition and a better diet help you in your achievement of a better physique? Absolutely. Is it 90% of the equation? Absolutely not. No freaking chance. Number 6, the emphasis on negative only work. So I'm not a big believer in doing negatives anymore, or more emphasis on the negative side of the rep. Every single portion of the rep is important. The contraction, the isometric, and the negative, or the eccentric. They all matter. They all matter during the rep. Not one of them is more important than the other. I'm not saying to bounce, jump around, swing, jerk, none of that. I am saying that each individual part of the rep is just as important as the last. That part is absolutely true. So if you see me in my training where I don't really care about how slow the negative is or the rep speed anymore, it's because I know that it's kind of a derivative of progressive overload to worry about your rep speed. I think you need to keep a rep speed kind of constant, but I don't think it needs to be the entire piece of the pie. And number 7, the big 3. The big 3 consists of the squat, bench, and deadlift, all utilized with a barbell. This is a norm that I don't really care for anymore. Mainly introduced by powerlifters and has a strict, standardized approach to form that I don't agree everyone should be able to do and hit all the time. So I don't like that you have to touch your chest on a bench for it to be legit. I don't want you to unrack the bench and just bend your elbows a little bit and call that a bench press. That's not accurate either. But to say that every single person, their build, structure, size, training, years, has to touch their chest, it's just stupid. It's arbitrary. Same thing with the squat depth. Same thing with the deadlift height. What if you do better physically with the deadlift, like 2 or 3 inches higher up? What if that just fits your anatomy better? Same thing with the bench. What if you do better with a slight incline on the bench, or an inch away from touching your chest, or an inch away from lockout? All these things. So it's not a bench press if there's 1 inch of range of motion missing. It's a load of crap. It's not a norm I agree with anymore. Number 8, the overhead press develops too much front delt. This is an argument that I've heard so much because I came from the bodybuilding background of that if you bench press enough, your front delt doesn't really need work. Now, that may be true in a bodybuilding sense, that maybe you don't really need an overhead press to do well on a bodybuilding stage. But with that logic comes with, you don't need any exercise to be good on a bodybuilding stage. You need X, Y, and Z things to be good on a bodybuilding stage. And if you know, you know. So there's no movements that make you a good bodybuilder. But the overhead press is a natural human movement we need to all be good at. I don't think it will produce too much of an overbearing front delt compared to a non-overhead press user that does the bench press. That part doesn't make sense to me. Ever since I've implemented the overhead press in my training, every single delt has been growing and looking better. I don't have one that's overpowered, even though I have done overhead press and bench work the past 6 months together. My shoulders are bigger than my chest, but that's always been the case. Number 9, forearms don't need direct work. Oh, I always hear this stuff from people that are either A, on stuff, or B, have never really cared to have extra hypertrophy in their arms anyway. So, yeah, you can build a good set of arms just holding the weights and, progressively overloading your arm stuff. But if you want those just extra good looking forearms that are formidable to see on anyone, I think they need some direct work. I think something. It doesn't even have to be weights. It can be hand grippers or more manual work or anything else like that. It doesn't have to be strictly weights, but I do think your forearms need extra love and attention. And lastly, number 10, not all training is hypertrophic. Hate to break the bad news to you, but no matter what rep work you do, it's hypertrophic. Now, I'm going to say something else along with this, that the only thing a workout can produce is an injury. The workout doesn't produce strength or muscle. What produces the strength and muscle is you resting and your central nervous system repairing and recovering, and your ability to contract a muscle gets better with rest. So the actual workout doesn't produce anything. Keep it in good context. You don't want to do 50 reps per set of something, but even if you're doing 2s, 3s, 4, 5, 6, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11, 12s, 13, 14, 15s, doesn't matter. All of it will build muscle. I hope you've enjoyed this. Appreciate you guys for tuning in.